Christmas, Christmas. Oh, hey everyone. Well, hope you guys have a good, happy, Merry Christmas. I know I did. I bet some of you have had a really great Christmas, and for those of you who didn't have a good Christmas, sorry to hear that. And for those of you who are wondering, did I have a good Christmas? Well, I gone through a couple of hiccups, but all in all, I had a good Christmas. The bad side, I let's just say that my relationship is going to be complicated right now because my girlfriend and I is going to be going on a break because of the problem with her family, and she'll be working overtime. She will not be having any times with me, so we decided to put our relationship on a break until things gets better. So I don't know if I'm going to be continuing on dating or not. So, I mean, just hope this isn't permanent. But anyway, with that aside, since this is the end of December, I thought I should end it with a really good review here, folks. Now, what exactly am I going to review today? Well, remember when I reviewed the top 12 Christmas horror movies I hate so much? And number 10 was Santa Sleigh, and I put them in number 10 because I didn't really hate it. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's not good, but it's not bad. So therefore, I'm going to review that. So, my next review is going to be... Oh, by the way, one thing I am pretty upset about, that my top 10 my top 12 Christmas horror movies I hate, I only got 2 views out of it. At least my Christmas Carol got 10, so that's good. Maybe even more. But anyway, my review today, for you folks, is none other than Santa Sleigh, starring Big Bill Goldberg. Yeah! Okay, a little bit of a background to me. Back then, I was into wrestling. A long time ago, when I was like, I would say probably 12 or something. I saw this one movie called Ready to Rumble, and I have that movie on DVD. Maybe I should review that once in a while. But anyway, back then I got into wrestling, and my favorite wrestlers was Goldberg and Sting. Yeah, except I hardly watch any wrestling shows, and I got hooked to that one video game called WCW Mayhem. But, sadly, my interest of wrestling, it became a phase. I was into wrestling back then, but now, lost interest. I mean, wrestling became a phase to me, so I lost interest of wrestling. I got rid of my PlayStation 1 WCW Mayhem video game and started getting more into the superheroes and the supernaturals and other franchise. And of course I did collected a couple of action figures, but I am planning on getting rid of them. I wonder how much they sell on eBay. But anyway, enough with my phase of wrestling. Let's get to the movie. And the movie starring in this is, of course, Big Bill Goldberg! Yeah! You know, next time when I review Ready to Rumble, I surprisingly do some good impressions of wrestlers. I mean, I can do Hulk Hogan, brother! Oh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage! Are you ready for excitement? Are you ready for some action? Snap into a Slam Jam!
I am the ultimate warrior, and I am the most ultimate wrestler around here. And of course, Jesse Ventura, I ain't got time to bleed. My skills is for a betterment of mankind, not for greed or evil.
Yeah, I can do impressions of wrestlers too. But anyway, for that aside, my review of Santa's Sleigh. This is not exactly a horror movie. It is a horror comedy. That's why I put this in the bottom of the list. And a lot of people say that this was a stupid movie, but actually it's not that bad. I mean, yeah, I see a few flaws in it, but all in all, it is a good movie. And what's it all about? Well, turns out, in this movie, what if Santa Claus is the Antichrist? Hear me out. Hear me out. I mean, say that Santa Claus is not exactly the icon that we all knew and love. In this movie, Santa Claus is actually the Antichrist. When God met Mary Magdalene and had a child, Jesus, well, Satan met a human, impregnated her, and therefore Santa Claus was around. And on every Christmas, Santa Claus here goes around killing anybody who gets in his way. I mean, he kills anybody at random. Until one night, there was a guardian angel who took a form of a human being, an old man, and made a deal with Santa Claus. And it's not exactly a card deal or a sword deal or a wrestling deal, which I wish it was. Actually, it was a curling deal. What's that? What's curling? Well, for those of you who ain't from Canada, I went to Canada once, Niagara Falls. But anyway, curling is actually the most popular game from Canada and Iceland and most of the northern areas. What you do in the game of curling is you got this big stone with a handle on top, and you have a troops brushing the ice, making path for the curling stone not getting into the circle. And that's what curling is. So it's just you just slide the stone and make sure it doesn't get into the circle. And any of the stones gets farther to the circle wins the game. It's not that popular game. It's only popular in Canada and also in northern areas. I guess hockey is more popular than curling. But anyway, the angel made a curling deal with Santa Claus. Santa Claus made this big hole where he was fishing for some fish by having some of his elf minions, which they never showed in the movie, to catch some fish, and the guardian angel made a deal with Santa Claus. And the origin starts all the way back to 1066. Probably the same time when William the Conqueror conquered London. But anyway, in the story, in 1066, they made the wager. The angel says, if the angel wins, he would have to stay good for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. He has to stay good and spread joy to all the kids for all the world. But if Santa Claus wins, he'll have his soul, and both physically and spiritually goes straight down to hell. And of course, Santa Claus, he's a big gambler. He likes the odds. So, made a deal with the curling tournament, and then the Archangel won. So, for this moment on, Santa Claus has to be good and start giving toys to children to all the world. But after 1,000 years, all the way to 2005, the year I graduated from high school, his time is up. So now, he's trying to find the angel. And the only place he can find him is, of course, Helltown. Yeah, out of all the towns in the world, the angel falls in love with a human woman and have children in a small town called Hell Township. Imagine that. And his first killing started when Big Bill Goldberg here, as Santa Claus, shows up to an undysfunctional family owned by James Caan. A little known fact, James Caan starred in this movie and he preferred not to be credited in the movie. I guess he was too embarrassed to star in this movie, but he plays the rich husband. He plays the rich husband who really hates his wife. And guess who is his wife? Fran Drescher. That's right. The most hot and funny comedian in the world, playing the two-timing wife. Yeah, you heard me say it. I find Fran Drescher really hot. And I have to say, she looks good for a woman her age. Wow. But of course, in this movie, she has a daughter-in-law. A daughter-in-law played by Rebecca Gay Harden, who wishes that her husband should be more faithful. And her husband turned out to be Chris Kattan. What is love, love, baby? Don't hurt me no more. I remember that song and the movie. Anyway, as it turns out, Fran Drescher was hitting on Chris Kattan, and Chris Kattan, he was filling her up. And of course, James Caan called him a half a fag. Until they get interrupted by Santa Claus. And Santa Claus, he killed everybody. Heck, even Rebecca Gay Hart says, "No, I've been good!" And then she whacks him in the head. And of course, Chris Kattan, he was like, "You want a piece with me?" And then, ow! And of course, drowned Fran Drescher in the alcoholic eggnog and shoved a turkey leg into James Caan's mouth and then hit it and forced his head through the table. Killing him instantly. And believe it or not, well, I think I'll get to that one. Anyway, after he's done with that dysfunctional family, after slaughtering them and killing them, and of course saying one of the lines to Fran Drescher,
"That's right, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus."
And after his killings to that family, he finally went all the way to Helltown, where you're gonna meet a kid named Nicholas, played by Douglas Smith here. One thing I gotta say about this kid is that he's an okay actor, but I think he's better off as a model. But anyway, what he does is he works in a deli He works in a deli owned by a Jewish butcher. Hope he doesn't order everything as kosher. And the Jewish butcher is his name is Mr. Green, and his name is Sol Robinick. Sol Robinick. I think I got the name wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And of course, Nicholas's girlfriend works in a deli too. And her name is Mary, and she played by Emily D. Raven. And that's her. Of course, in the movie, she's a blonde, and you all know this picture from that TV series she starred in, Once Upon a Time. And I have to say, she's a really good actress, and I know some people would tell me that she was also in the show called Lost, but I never watched Lost. But I have seen her on Once Upon a Time with Robert Carlyle as Rumpelstiltskin, aka the Beast. Now, I have to say, her performance as Belle on Once Upon a Time, I mean, I've seen Beauty and the Beast, and to heck with, I mean, no offense to Emma Watson, she did do a good job playing Belle, but Emily D. Raven? Emily D. Raven is a better Belle than I ever imagined. She did a really good job. But anyway, she plays a girlfriend named Mary to Nicholas. And of course, Nicholas always do that trick, saying, I guess this belonged to you? Gotcha! And she's like, come on, nice try. And of course, she really does like him, but sometimes he does act like a jerk, because she's from a family full of game hunters and deer hunters. And then all of a sudden, you see Santa Claus riding his sleigh with his hell deer. Also, I know it's a buffalo, and they use a real live buffalo in this movie. But the only problem is, if you see on the outtakes and on the extras, this buffalo was really scared of Goldberg. Like when he walked up to the deer and says,
Take it, Brimstone!
and the deer just run off, and I'm like, oh, goodbye. Anyway, Mary drove Nicholas to his house where he takes care of his grandfather. And his grandfather is played by Robert Culp. You probably know him in tons of movies back in the 60s and 70s. He was with Bill Cosby on I Spy, and also was in An American Hero. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could be so free. Flying away in a breeze and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. Yeah, I watch a show, so whatever. But anyway, grandfather here, he plays the grandfather. Now, here's a little known fact, and it was pretty obvious throughout the whole movie. He's the guardian angel who made a deal with Santa Claus. And also, Dave Thomas is in this movie. And he plays the pastor from his church. But it turns out he's a very sleazy pastor. After he does his sermon and giving out the donation, he always tells everybody, don't give me coins, give me bills. Just bills, big bills. But it's obvious what he does. He takes the donation and goes to a strip club where he meets all the strippers and keeps tossing the money that he got from the donation. What a sleazeball! But it's his character. Heck, even Santa Claus showed up on the strip club and going like,
Ho, ho, ho.
I cannot put the S at the end because you know exactly what I was going to say, but I can't. Anyway, Nicholas went to the gas station to buy some gum, and the gas store owner was played by Tommy Teeny Lester. You've seen him in a lot of movies. He's always the black guy who always seems like he has a glass eye or something, because sometimes he kind of looks like he's cross-eyed or something. But anyway, oh, and a little known fact, one of the strippers in the strip club is actually Goldberg's wife. I'm not kidding. Rhonda Ferratin, Bill Goldberg's wife, was in the movie, and it was way before they both met. I guess, takes a bad movie to let one actor fall in love with somebody. And she plays a stripper who is on a swing that Santa Claus jumps up, grabs onto the swing while her legs is between his head. And then after he gets off, he was like, oh, gee. Strange, right? And right now, she's a mother of 2 kids by Bill. Well, enough with the cast. There was a lot of jokes and innuendo jokes, and even there are some scenes that should have put some jokes into it. Like that time when, like the time when he was about ready to set the strip club on fire, he was like, naughty. And when they show that scene of one of the strippers with silicone breasts passing by, he should have added, nice. That would have been funny. And then there was a bit of a missed opportunity in this one scene when Mr. Green, the butcher, played by Sal, he was just showing his Star David right in front of Santa Claus, and Santa Claus was like, and then he grabs his menorah and impales him right in the throat. You know, when Mr. Green should have shown his Star David right in front of his face, he should have said, I'm Santa Claus, not frickin' Dracula! But instead he said that nearly at the end, when he was about ready to run over Nicholas and Mary with a Zamboni. You're about to get killed by a Zamboni! where Nicholas shined the light, and that's when he said, I'm Santa Claus, not Dracula. But anyway, when Nicholas found Mr. Green, he was trying to pull it out of his neck. He was like, there is a Santa Claus. And of course, he bumped in with a bunch of Orthodox Jewish people. And he was like, rrr. And of course, a bunch of stupid cops who thinks they're Amish. There's a fine line difference. Anyway, there is even an inappropriate joke where their last captain was Captain Bush, and now they have a new captain named Dr. Cox. And also made an innuendo joke, which I cannot say, but you should watch the movie to get the joke. But anyway, he showed up to the precinct, killed all the cops, and he also took a taser and electrocuted him between the captain's legs. I know, I should be making an inappropriate joke, but I just can't say it. But anyway, throughout the whole movie, that's when the grandfather finally showed up right in front of Santa Claus, and he says, "My, you're getting a lot bigger than the last time I met. I see you've been putting on a couple of pounds, aren't you?" And he said,
Mrs. Claus, one heck of a good cook.
and then when Grandpa tried to distract him, his hell deer ran over Grandpa, and that's when he said,
Grandpa got ran over by a reindeer.
"You know, I always hated that song, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, and I hate the cartoon movie more. I just think it was a stupid song, and the movie was way stupid. But anyway, and then there was this huge chase where Nicholas was riding his snowmobile while his girlfriend was hanging on to him. And of course, one time, the hail deer was getting closer towards her, so she turned around and punched him right in the nose. Which I gotta say, that was pretty cool. And of course, I like that one joke, which I would have said it on my Christmas Carol, but because of time. Where Goldberg was reading Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, and he says,
This sure scares the dickens out of people.
You know, come to think of it, ever since I did that Christmas Carol, I noticed that Dracula was smiling, and he was happy. I was asking him why was he smiling, and he said, "Why don't you know? I'm the first vampire who appear on Christmas." You know, come to think of it, nobody didn't even make any Christmas specials involving vampires. I mean, there are Christmas involving ghosts, involving demons, involving zombies, but never a vampire one. And you know, I was planning on making a children's book called A Vampire Who Saves Christmas. But of course I might need some time to think up the story and have a lot of thought in that story. But anyway, throughout the whole entire movie, he was about ready to ran over them by a Zamboni until Grandpa showed up as an angel. And Nicholas says, "I swear I'm never going to take the Lord's name in vain." And his grandpa said, "You are forgiven, Nicholas." And of course, he also discovers that Christmas is over. Time for him to go back to the North Pole. But Santa Claus says, he has a couple of minutes left, so he's going to kill some time. And then him and Grandpa decided to do another curling, but Santa Claus cheated and tossed him into the hole. But they saved his life and threw one of the curling stones right on the demon, that you can hear one of the demons from hell saying, "Ow!" But anyway, oh yeah, and one thing I also saw, Mary gave Nicholas a transformer, and it's a pistol. It transformed into a robot, which that kind of reminds me of that Megatron toy, which they stopped selling it because grown-ups complain about selling toy guns to kids. And even though they put a orange cap on the tip, but it didn't help. But anyway, when Santa Claus found the toy gun, he says,
I gave that to Jeff McKenzie last Christmas. What a queer.
Man, that guy's a real jerk, you know that? Anyway, and also, Santa Claus kidnapped Dave Thomas, aka the pastor dressing up as Santa Claus. And after he kidnapped him, Dave Thomas was like, "What are you doing?" And he said,
"Well, I'm trying to spread some Yuletide fear."
And then he knocked him out. And then after he was done with Grandpa, after he flew the coop with a Zamboni and got back to his sleigh, Dave Thomas was saying, "Oh, hey, honey, I had the most worst nightmare." And Santa Claus says,
"Visions of sugar plum?"
And then he hits him in the head with a hammer. And of course, Nicholas and Mary tell a group of deer hunters that there is a biggest buck flying around, and it would be good for their game hunt. And of course, there is a Native American who has a throat machine, who kind of sounds like he'd been smoking too much. And then one of the hunters destroyed the deer with a bazooka. And he got it as a Christmas gift from the Native American, who said, "That thing cost me a long." I guess he was saving a lot of camel coupons in order to get a bazooka. I heard back then that camels, when you collect these little coupons, you get certain types of Joe Camel items, until the anti-cigarette company kind of put a halt to it. But anyway, Santa Claus impaled Dave Thomas dressing up as Santa Claus and shifting the blame, saying that he's the Santa Claus killer. While at the same time, Santa Claus, looking like a biker, he goes into an airport to get himself a ticket to the North Pole. And the lady who works in the airport says, "Okay, you're all set, Mr. Satan."
Actually, that's Shaitan.
"Any luggage?"
Just one.
And he picked up the sack and put it in the suitcase aisle. And he has to sit down, and he has to sit with the rest of the people and wait. And that is Santa's Sleigh for you. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this was a good movie. It's hilarious, it's silly, even though some of the jokes is a hit or miss. But all in all, it is a very enjoying movie. And that will be the end of December on my Christmas review. So for those of you who likes my review of Santa's Sleigh, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. Now, what am I going to be reviewing next year? Well, one thing I was thinking about reviewing, but I never come around to do it. I mean, this time I'm going to be reviewing some superhero stuff. And out of all the superheroes, this one's going to be a special treat. I review superheroes who are crazy and funny. I reviewed foreign superheroes. I review superheroes who doesn't get much credit and trying to make them popular again. But I'm going to review a superhero who kills people. And this is not vengeance. This is punishment. That's right. I'm going to review The Punisher. So stay tuned, folks, and Merry late Christmas.